It's another glorious day, my tea sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meach.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meach. It's time to dish tea with Big Meach. It's time to dish tea with Big Meach. It's time to dish tea with Big Meach.
Darling. All right. Hello. Listen, I'm not going to do all my shenanigans that I usually do in the beginning of this because I got to be quick. I'm coming in a little bit early because I got donut factory duties tonight. Yes, I know. I usually, I'm off on Fridays and Saturdays or whatever, but tonight, my coworker had a death of a close friend of his that passed, and so he's on his way home to Alabama, and we're short-staffed, so no one was able or available to take his shift. So, okay. And on a Friday night, honey, we cannot allow the donut factory. Y'all know I work for a hotel. We cannot have no security there at all on a Friday night. So I'm going to go in and cover for him this evening. So I got to be quick, okay? I'm hoping that Minister LaVelle is able to come on up in. We talked briefly about what I want to discuss tonight, and I was going to do Big Meach moments about this because it was so hot, and it still is hot, since the last time that we talked, okay? The internet exploded on two things, and I'm going to give my take on both of them. I don't know which one I want to start with first. Y'all put in the comments, where should I go first? Do y'all want to talk about the cisgender, transgender war? Or do y'all want to talk about the Jason Aldean, Try That in a Small Town song first? Let me see what y'all at in the comments, because actually it's a coin toss. Okay. While I'm waiting, let me go ahead on and re-pull up the lyrics to the song, because I was sharing them with the minister. And as we were talking, he had mentioned a couple of things that were very interesting. And I'm like, okay, that there was cute. We're trying to really get this into the whole do-I-diddy, right? And make some sense of it. Okay. All right, nobody's saying anything. Okay, so y'all want me to make up my own mind. Okay. I'm sitting up here, I'm looking, I was on Fulton County Sheriff died. I just saw that. I just saw a quote from Garth Brooks that was up here. And when I refreshed the page, I wasn't trying to refresh it. But when you stay away from your phone too long, or you minimize the page, when you go back, it re-ups and all that. So, yeah. I am. Damn it. Okay, never mind. Fuck it. Okay. Because I had it here, but I messed it up. But in any event, so I'll start with the Jason Aldean song, because I want to get into the lyrics. Okay. If y'all not heard the song, and I'm not going to play it here because I don't want this thing to become a whole big do why diddy. Okay. And they trying to take my song down and this, that, and the other. And I don't feel all that shit, right? So we're gonna start with the Jason Aldean. All right. Now, what he said, this song came out in May. Okay, it was released in May, and it has become a whole big to do because of what the video does and this, that, and the other. And I got to relook at it because I I did not see them children trash in the White House. Red said he thought he did. So I need to go back and look at that because I don't remember seeing that. Okay. My trepidation with the song is there's one line in particular that threw me all the way off. But is it art? Is this what good artists do? They leave the song up for interpretation because art is subjective, right? And those who don't hear it or whatever, or those who feel as though no, it's not that or whatever. There's a lot of black folks who have stuck up for the song, and now I'm gonna say this out loud. No, no, let me hold that. Let me hold that. I have to remember, honey. I certain things, I can shoot from the hip still, but I got to be guarded with my hip shot, honey, because I'm doing a few extra things, and so it can get misconstrued. But at the same time, those African Americans, honey, who were in favor of the song and this, that, and the third, you know, okay, a lot of them come across as very conservative, in their speech and carrying on, and how, they're patriots and patriots and carrying on. But um, everybody else who have been for the song, have just seemed to be those from small towns. And I just think that it's interesting. But it's only one line in the song that got to me. Red, you ready, Minister? Okay, let me bring him on in because he look like he's ready to come on, and we're gonna talk about it. You ready?
Yep. Put that back. Great.
Okay. So we're gonna start with the lyrics of the song. Like I said, I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to get no copyright infringements. If you want the song, what I'll do is I'll put the link to the song, actually to the video, because I watched the video first, and in watching the video, I was like, okay, it's a bit racy, all that. It takes you right there, right away, and carrying on is a catchy tune. I like country music, so uh it's not like, I would never listen to the song, but afterwards I was like, oh, I don't know if I would just rock it. You know how folks sit up there, they like Beyonce, but straight men feel as though they can't go rocking Beyonce in their car because it'll make them look soft. Well, to rock this song, I don't even know if I would necessarily go rock it or buy it or whatever. I probably sing it in karaoke. But just to say I'm playing it in my car, I probably won't.
So you
Okay.
said wouldn't rock Beyonce in their car. Is that what you said?
Huh?
You said a straight man wouldn't rock Beyonce in their car?
Yeah, there's many straight men and so these folks who feel as though
I thought
that
also.
Beyonce's gay following. Child, I have had so many folks say that ridiculousness. I had to stop and look at them and say, you said what?
But I'm saying I thought all men that were straight wanted to rock Beyonce in their car.
So, you know what? Hush. I'm going to beat you.
That what you said?
Hush. Okay, I'm talking about her music.
I got to be quiet because I repeat what you said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You want to give double entendres and things, honey. Okay. But it's amazing. Okay. It is truly amazing. Wait a minute. Let me put the video link up in here so y'all can have the link and all of that. While I'm doing this, wait a minute. Copy.
That's a good question I wanted to ask you.
Uh-huh.
What if you was from one of them small towns yourself?
Some folks are.
But what if you were from one of them small towns yourself?
Me being from a small town, well, let me say it like this. I lived in one with my white friends. Okay. I lived up in South Haven, Michigan. And that was the first time I've experienced living in a mobile home. Okay.
So why did you just? So now, hold on. What you saying?
Uh-huh.
You just made a connectivity between non-melanin and mobile home.
Okay.
I don't like you tonight. Okay, I'm gonna say.
You said that to say what? I'm saying that because now, and the reason why I'm stressing that is because number one, there was a much of a cultural difference. Okay.
Absolutely.
Much of a cultural difference. When I came back from New York, I went to go, I was mad at God and I wasn't ready to be back home because God pushed me out of New York and I was not ready to leave. Right. So my protest was, okay, I'm home, but I'm not going to be in Detroit. Right. So I went to the western part of Michigan with my friends, and that there was a cultural experience because here it is. I'm one of the few black people in this town. There was only Walmart, the one Walmart. I worked at Hot Now, and I ended up doing something. And I this is how I know that I'm bothered by it because when I did it, it didn't hit me until after it made the paper. All right. For Halloween, I dressed up in drag to go to work, but it was what I did. Okay. I would have been there looking like what on ancient mama, and I didn't think about it until after the picture hit the paper. I didn't think about it, right? I did not think about it because I'm playing one of my characters that I had on stage, with my hair curlers, because I had my wig in with my hair curlers, so I tied my hair scarf on, and I had my house dress on. Did not pay that no mind. My God, I did not think about that until the newspaper put my picture in the paper because I was working drive-through. So I got this great big old huge Beulah damn smile in the damn window, looking like I said, "Oh my God, somebody murder me, please,
So they put you
Lord."
looking like Thomas.
Yes,
Thomas.
Thomas. Okay. Oh dear God in heaven. And I'm hoping that picture does it's going to because I'm saying it's somebody who may be listening or somebody who's trying to find some dirt on me, honey. They're gonna go find that damn picture, child.
Dressed up
But
like Tom and Jerry.
um
Thomas.
right. And it did not dawn on me until after, like I said, after that picture. So being up there,
I thought you was
I
twerking.
had turned into what we thought was the street, and it was the drive to someone's home. Okay.
Excuse me.
And
Y'all get y'all bet. All right.
um
All right.
we had we turned what we thought was the street and turned into the drive to someone's house.
Mm.
Okay. So now we're trying to turn around and come back out. Well, what ended up happening, a little girl come to the door. And when she came to the door, she looked and said, "Daddy, there's a nigger in the yard."
Got a question for you.
I got an answer for you.
Was there one in the yard?
I said, okay, boom. Okay. So when her daddy came to the door, He came with this angry ass look on his face and he rushed the door. He never came outside, but he doubled back. You know, I slid down in the car. I said, y'all better turn this goddamn car around to get me the hell up out of here. Okay. Because he's not going to shoot at y'all. He's going to shoot at me. Okay. And I said, okay. So that day became an experience. Now, my friends, you know, they're very, very, you know, liberal and carrying on and all of that. They were trying to make sure that I was okay. They wanted to make sure that you know, it didn't rattle me and carrying on. And it did for a spell, because that was the first time that had ever happened to me. Even with going into the Walmart and carrying on. Now I've gotten
Wait, Marquise, get your dog. I don't want no accidents around my house.
so I you know, even dealing with the Walmart and carrying on, blah 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 blah. Even the night with the Halloween night with the costume. You know, white women came up to me and the one woman, she heard me talking, and I think I let out one of my little laughs, right? She says, "Oh my God, I thought you were a woman till I heard your voice." I was like, "Oh, she's a big gal." I said, "No, darling, this is just for Halloween, honey. It's just for
I
Halloween."
can't stand them outspoken, older, non-melanin women.
Oh,
This day,
that's a big gal, right? So my experience in this little small town.
I'm not to cut you up, but I made a lady here in this state turn red, and I don't think she ever did this again. Similar to that.
Uh-huh.
She said, I came in the door, a retail spot, right?
Mm.
She was walking up, so I stopped being a gentleman. Instead of me going through the door, I stopped and stepped back, and I hold the door for her. So when she looked up to come in the door, she looked and she said, "My God, you's a biggin." I said, "I get that all the time, whether I'm dressed or undressed."
We're gonna move on because that went okay. You know what? Hush. I'm not with you.
But she didn't know what to say.
I know.
She was like,
Uh-huh. Right.
she
So
probably,
in dealing with that little small town, and those who are very patriotic, and those who are very true-blooded Americans and carrying on, even dealing with their social services, because I went and got food stamps once from them, and I was in Allegan County. And you know, even with my social worker at the time, I was like, oh, you know, because Allegan County, they got more stamps than what Wayne County was doing, right? Because like Allegan County, and this was back in I was in New York in 95 when I came home in 96. So this is 96. So in 96, at that time, single people in Michigan were probably getting like $185 in stamps a month. Okay. In Wayne County. In Allegan County, we would get like 230. Right. And I said, oh, okay. Wow. In Wayne County, they don't do that. Well, we're not Wayne County. Oh, and she was just really, 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 you know, standoffish with me. And I know we're going around the bush, but I've had my experience in those small towns. Okay. And in dealing with that, I know, you know, I've had my experience with those who like to go, what they call it. Oh, damn it. It ain't tailgating. What they call it when they take the trucks and go in the mud and spin around and all that shit in the mud.
mudding.
What is it?
Mudding.
Okay.
We going mud, Richard. Richard, you going mud with us? Well, go get Carrie Ann.
Yeah, listen.
I heard Carrie Ann to take the lug nuts off with her mouth. So we're gonna go and we're going mud.
Listen, no, because child, listen. I had my life flash before my eyes all throughout that experience because we're where we live. We were right on where we decided to go do this mudding. We were right off of right on the cliff.
You went mud. You went mud.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be a mother.
Just. And Tony, it was his truck, and he wanted to let me have this experience. And it was fun, but he liked to get dangerously close to that damn edge. Honey, we on the cliff. Okay. I said, Tony, baby, now I don't have a bad heart, but you're trying to give me a heart condition. Now you can't be doing all this. And he started laughing and spun that damn truck around again.
I got a question.
I have an answer.
Was that before I Believe I Can Fly came out by R. Kelly?
1996. So yeah. So I understand that. Even so much so to where I listen. At that time, you know, I had dyed my hair blonde. I had went blonde for a moment just to see what was going on. And blondes really do have more fun.
You know, we got a lot in common.
You know.
You know that, right?
Well, really?
We got a lot in common.
And I was a bleach blonde. Yeah, not the black girl blonde. I was a bleach blonde.
My whole curly head went honey blonde.
Because they wanted to strip my color, the black, and then and create it, right? So all of that was that. So in that experience, I learned what was going on. Okay, and I was understanding non-melanated creatures the way that I do, you know, because I'm living with them, I'm experiencing them, even to the point where, listen, it was one thing about shopping, and I swear every time I tell the story, I try not to get mad about it because that was so long ago. It's 30 years ago. But I was mad because of what they did. I got the damn food stamps. And because I went to Save-A-Lot to do the grocery shopping, Save-A-Lot don't have name brands, right? So I'm sitting up here and I'm buying stuff and I'm buying, and I done spent these damn food stamps, honey, and I'm thinking I'm doing something fantabulous because I done stocked up the house and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, yakety spleen, this.
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened was these children did not want to eat the food that I bought because it wasn't name brand. So after about maybe 2.5 months, all of that stuff that I had bought, all of it, you know, it became something was wrong with the, oh, honey, no, it's been here a little too long. It's been the cancer start to swell. And, you know, we don't want that. And look at that. The can is expanded, honey. No, this is no good. I said, ain't no damn can. Okay. Then we went grocery shopping. Now, mind you, I got my stamps, so they wanted to go grocery shopping with me. We're at Walmart.
Got the cream of mushroom and string beans?
For the casserole?
For the casserole. For the coke.
Okay, right. Right there. I'm dead. Bingo. Okay, now you just threw that fucking pound right there. Okay. So as I'm doing all this, they then wanted to buy shit because I was buying, you know, they bought this. Before I started buying peanut butter in the great big huge containers. Well, it's cheaper if you do it this way. Just get this container because, you know, blah, da, da, da. And then it became the battle of name brand versus no brand. Because whenever I go to the store, you know, I don't necessarily have to have name brand anything except Miracle Whip. Miracle Whip, you listen, I don't get salad dressing. I don't get the fake shit that's salad dressing in the blue label that's trying to look like Miracle Whip. We don't do that.
Well,
Miracle Whip.
That's because they say a sandwich just a sandwich.
See?
Unless it got Miracle Whip.
Okay. So then it became this whole, back and forth with it and carrying on, and they really used all them damn stamps, for claiming we getting it for the house, but it was really a waste. And every time I tell that story, I get evil. So the whole idea of being in a small town, I get, right? But this particular song, now let's go to the lyrics of this song, because like I say, I was fine with it until this one particular line. And in watching the video, I saw how folks were jumping to where, to the idea they were jumping to. But here's the lyrics. It says, sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. Y'all think it's cute? Well, act like a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stump on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we takes care of our own. You cross that line, it won't be long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddaddy gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that shit in a small town. We're repeating the chorus. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't be long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. And here comes my line that got me, For the good old boys raised up right. If you're looking for a fight, try that in a small town. Try that in a small town. And then it repeats the chorus on out. Okay? But it's that line right there. Full of good old boys raised up right. Mm-hmm. That's the line that had all of my spidey senses tingling. I did a record scratch. What the hell did you just say? You know?
I got a question. Did you back in the day when you were watching television?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And most of the shows were predominantly non-melanin.
Right.
So when this one show came on, and they said, "Just a good old
boys,"
did you say, "Oh my
never
God,"
meaning no harm?
or did you?
No, because when I was a kid, we were that whole idea of good old boys wasn't a political thing for the kids. I've heard it. And I heard the adults talk about it, but every time they talk about non-melanated folks, it was always the C word. We got the C words. I heard them say the good old them good old boys, but they always talk about Southerners, right? Those who were from the South. But as we grew up and got older, and politics got in the way, and this, that, and the other, and then when we started to understand what the Klan was about,
You know where I'm confused at?
to round up. And usually when you heard good old boy, you hear true-blooded redneck American. Okay. All that coincides. So for me, that was the line that raised up my eyebrows and was like, So do I think the song is completely racist? No, I don't think the song is. I think because it is a piece of art, it is up for interpretation. And it's going to hit everybody differently. Now, because of that line, I see exactly how everybody jumped to their conclusions. And that's just me looking at the lyrics. Now, let me go to the video because I heard this first by watching the video. Now, Red, you said you saw something else, so you're going to make me rewatch it so that I can have my facts right.
Okay.
Okay. But when I looked at it, I don't remember seeing any footage from the January 6th, insurrection.
Well,
I know I
like I said, I thought I saw
didn't see
like
nothing from Charlottesville when all the white children, all
like
the
I said, I
nationalists and the
thought I
Klan and
saw
this
it,
and another march.
and I still got a flash in my
Uh-huh.
mind of what I thought I saw. So I had to watch it again too.
We have to watch it again. The point that I'm making is, if it's there, then that negates everything that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because then it would make the song fair. Because we're talking about violence, because now the lyrics would make sense. It's a everybody song. I'm talking about anybody who does that, right? It will make sense. If not, and all they got is Black Lives Matter, all they got is inner city violence and carrying on, do the riots and carrying on, then that's going to bring about speculation for everything. And it's going to say, okay, why did you do this? What was your intent behind this? Now, here's something, because I had this debate at the donut factory with my coworker. Because as we were talking about it, before I read him the lyrics, he was on the bandwagon. He said, I'm trying to understand what they are upset about. Right? How is it racial? Because he never said anything about race. He not talk. We hear that all the time. He didn't pick out nobody. He didn't say this and he didn't say that. And as I said, one of the things that we do know, when it comes down to burning that flag, unless you are a military veteran, most folks who get upset when people burn that flag like that are small town hick children who claim to be good old boys, and they have that ideology similar. Okay, so it fits the protocol. So that there is part of a culture that we know to be associated with the ideology of white supremacy, white nationalism, and all that kind of jazz. So when I listen to it now, are we picking at it? Are we this? And are we reading too much in it? That's subjective. But when I start to break it down like that, because when I heard that line, then I was like, okay. And as I was telling my coworker, I was like, listen at that. I said, catch this. I said, because when I first heard "Got a Gun That My Granddad Gave Me," I paused for a second, but then I said, oh no, that's just white folks, because they do that. That's what they do. They buy guns for the children. And I was like, okay, well, that ain't no biggie. It ain't no biggie. It happens. And they in the small town, so they catching possum, they going hunting. It ain't no biggie. That didn't rile me. But like I said, my line for this song came full of good old boys raised up right.
Well,
Okay.
can I I'm glad that we on this good old boy subject,
Yeah.
because I've always had something in this old file. And I might as well empty this file now so I can make space. Okay. So the good old boys, those are the guys with the Confederate flag. They call it Dixie flag or whatever,
The
right?
Dixie flag. Uh-huh.
Okay. Here's my problem. It's called a Dixie flag, right?
Right.
They supposed to be tough guys. But how can you be so masculine if your flag is Dixie? They got Dixie sugar. You know what I'm saying? And people who like the same sex, you know what I'm saying? They Dixie guys.
Dixies and dandies, honey. Okay.
Right, right. And that's that. I mean, all of it sounds the same to me. So what's happening with me is I'm trying to get this analogy where Brokeback Mountain is starting to make sense to me.
That's cute. Okay.
And I've always wanted to be able to not attack this situation, but just get some insight on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for it to be a Dixie flag, as far as I'm concerned, there's not enough colors on it.
Well, how about that? It's only red and blue and maybe white in there.
I'm just Dixie anything is Trixie nothing.
Right. Well, Chicky Dicky, honey. Hey,
Just a good old boy.
just a good old boy. Never meaning no harm. So they say.
Yeah, cowpoke.
So they say. But let's look at but you know what? Let's look at that now. Now you bring up the Dukes of Hazzard, and I brought that up too, because a lot of us know the good old boys from that song, from the Dukes of Hazzard song, right?
That's your first exposure.
That's the first, right? And so because of that, but let's look at that. Let's go back to looking at the Dukes of Hazzard. I don't ever remember them having any black townsmen. They may have an episode where somebody may have come through, but I don't ever remember having an episode where there was a black person in town. Roscoe P. Coltrane and Boss Hogg was always after them Dukes. So it always set up this kind of country living. You know, you got somebody getting high off the land and carrying on Boss Hogg. You had his little deputy who wanted to have all this power that wasn't the amount, you know. He was basically Barney Fife, you know, new age Barney Fife, you know, and carried on. And the damn Dukes were the poor white trash children, because Boss Hogg was on the high of the land. But they couldn't fuck with them because they was raising their own money. They had their own land and this, that, and the other. So, you know, Jesse Duke, you know, he was a farmer and carried on. So they just good, you know, all of that. But we never had, you know, exposure to black folks on that show. So again, in analyzing this song, and many of you who maybe listen to this may say, okay, that's a stretch. And you may well be right. At the same time of it being a stretch, though, look at where we are to sit up there and talk about this line of the song. You know, look at where we are. Even now to where our politics, we call it the good old boy network. Okay, with our politics and everything, about how it's male hierarchy and how the powers that be always manipulate everything to where it's white men who stay in power. Everything less than a white man with money is considered to be a drag of society. And that includes white women, that includes all other ethnicities, and y'all know what they did for us as blacks. Okay.
What they do for y'all?
Huh?
What they do for y'all?
I said, no, to us, not for us.
No, what they do to y'all?
What do you mean? What?
To y'all? What they do to y'all?
That's true. He's talking about to y'all.
I'm humanese.
You and identify that. My pronouns are. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Oh, I'm not gonna do that. That was so stereotypical. Oh, I was gonna do something real that way, honey. Oh, bad Meach. Bad.
I'm humanese. I speak human English.
Bad. Okay. Okay. But what say y'all? Y'all quiet in these comments, honey. Y'all are absolutely quiet. But I want y'all to share that. And if you have a difference of opinion, if you don't think that the song has racial undertones or whatever, that's fine. But be prepared to articulate your point. And please, if you're going to say, well, he doesn't talk about racism and carrying on, he's really just talking about how people are proud to be an American, how people are standing up for what they believe in. They standing up for their country. They're standing up for their town. They don't want all of the riots and the looting and all that kind of stuff because it destroys the economy. I've heard all that, but that's the surface. That's the surface answer. Give me what's deep. Give me the deepness behind it. Yeah, just like we analyze this thing because it gets deep. And just like I'm saying, that one line that took us all the way to the fucking Dukes of Hazzard, it took us all the way around the world because it is deep in what the implication is. You understand? And then let's look into something too, because my coworker and I were talking about this, and he said, well, listen, he said, those who already think that way, all this is doing is going to make the record sales go up. He's finna get rich off this song. I said, well, we already know that because it's controversial. Controversy sales. I said, but let's look at this too. let's look at the marketing behind this. Now, I'm not saying he's a Trump supporter or anything, but we do know that Trump supporters will listen to this particular song because it speaks their language.
Is that why I like it?
It speaks their language. Okay. You may like it for a different reason, but I'm talking particularly Trump supporters. Okay. Because
I think Trump's a great guy.
Wait a minute, let me go get me something to drink. Hold on. So you're gonna run me off the damn camera. But that's why you're entitled to that. Okay. If you feel that way, God help you. Okay. Somebody gotta like the man, honey, because he's still alive. So okay.
Hey,
I'll be right back. Let me get something to drink.
did I do that?
Yes, you did. Got my mouth all dry. And carrying on. Mm-hmm.
Look, ain't nothing wrong with Trump, y'all.
Oh. Wait a minute.
Just remember, Trump is my boy.
That's your boy?
That's my boy.
I heard that. I heard that. Your $1 million boy. Mm-hmm.
That's my boy right there.
Okay.
He one of the good fellas.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Jay says, what? Jay Thomas, I ain't about to let these white folks gaslight me. How he know what he was doing. Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, I think I think you Spades is a little too controversial. Y'all gotta understand when them good non-melatonins are trying to feed their family and they get a little lyrical, y'all get sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michael left a little of that glove dust down here, and y'all got it on you. It's all on you. You got to learn. The man was born in a town of 50. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
He was born in a town of 50 people.
Well, here's the thing.
His mother, his cousin, and his aunt is his grandmama. I'm trying to explain that to you.
But see, when we talk about that, see, there is an opening up wounds because we would have Ahmaud Arbery in a small town. Okay, when they shot and killed him. Okay. Who else was in a small town? You know, because we got a number of these things, honey, where we have these instances. It also is the trigger room when you think small towns, going back to our history, the history of blacks in this country. Towns. Okay. So you want to try that in a small town and see, again, it becomes the whole rhetoric and it becomes speculation. It becomes, oh, excuse me, it becomes a little analytical and critical because it does. It not only gaslights, it's a complete trigger. Oh, okay. I think somebody can see your point.
I think y'all a little fancy.
Let a black rapper make a song saying y'all crackers better not come to the hood on January 6th shit and see how the media reacts. Well,
I'm gonna make a song called Crackers in My Soup.
I'm not fucking with you here.
That's right. We're gonna have crackers in my
You
soup.
hear me?
That's right. Y'all look for it.
So a lot of this,
Gonna be on Hold
the
Downtown.
timing, okay, the timing in this with Trump being indicted and all this kind of jazz and carrying on, all it's going to take. Now, catch now. The troops are already about to make this song go viral and go big. Wait a minute. Okay, I shouldn't be drinking this because it got a little too much carbonic acid in it, but I like it. But all this child got to do is after any of his trials or whatever, he's in fact he's on his way somewhere. I think he's Pennsylvania somewhere to go campaign, or was it Indiana? He on his way somewhere to go campaign. If he sits down there and start talking about this song, or make references to it, it's going to become a whole big shindig. See, and then
Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw it. Seeley showed up.
Nettie or Seeley?
I think Nettie. Nettie was the thick one.
Right. I just let him get on top, do his business, get on top of me and do his business, honey. Okay. I gotta go to school. I gotta go to school. Mister, I gotta go to school. Mister, no, what you doing? I gotta go to school.
No. Trying to do nothing around here. Get on out of here.
I do it. A small town. Try that in a small town.
Try that in a small town.
So there we have it. So that's my take on the song. It could, I'll start repeating myself and carrying on when we get into whatever. But some of the lines, cuss a cop out, spit in his face. I would have loved to have them show that white woman who did just that. Okay. The white folks that sit down there.
He did show that.
Did he?
Somebody did. Yeah, that lady did. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I got to rewatch it because what I want to make sure of is that we're not coming in with a knee-jerk reaction. Like Jay Thomas was saying, we don't want to get gaslit for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to get triggered. Okay. Now, the rhetoric that's going out that it's a racist song and et cetera, I can see why the folks say that. And I can hear it. But again, art is up for interpretation. And that goes for songs and everything else. Because it's artwork. Okay. And so the artist, the recipient or the listener in this case, is going to hit everybody differently. I mean, that's why you gravitate to certain artists and certain artists you don't. Even with some of you who may like, you may not be a diehard fan, because when you become a diehard fan, if you're a diehard like I am for Patty and Stephanie Mills and Fantasia and lots of others, but they could do no wrong for me. I'm gonna buy everything that they sang. They could do no wrong. Okay.
One of those artists you just named
had came out with this song.
Come out with the song and say, I'm so sick of you ninjas. I'm claiming my non-melanin roots as I scoop my boots. Tootie toot toot. You gonna buy
it? I would, and then cuss them out privately. I would, and I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna front, yeah. Because see, that'd be an album cut. It wouldn't be a single. That'd be something on the album. That'd be something on the album, child. And be like, what the hell did you? What? Oh, okay, you did this because you was under contract. How folks do with Barbara Streisand
Okay, so let me stretch, and after I stretch, I'm gonna get out of here. I got to stretch for you. I'm gonna stretch. Okay. This is Minister Hayes' stretch moment. Okay, look. Let's say "Knocking Boots," the R&B song. Huh?
Go ahead.
Let's say the defense of that and said they was talking about them because non-melanin they wear a lot of boots.
Right.
And they tip cows. And sheep. And so who said they took offense and said, "Oh, they done wrote a song about us out in the fields with the Mayfield." You know, like, so that could have been. They could have been like, "Oh, that's racist."
They could have. They could have.
Because you ninjas are too sensitive.
They could have. And the thing of it again, and my argument stands. Art is art, and the interpretation is subjective. Okay. I know the artist's intention. We may not know what the intention was. All we know is when we look at it, how it makes us feel. I may not get nothing out of it. Nothing. It just does nothing for me.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, it's still music. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I can't disagree with you on that. It's still music. And of course, you know, we both know from the degrees that we hold that art form of music, it could be a plethora. You can put 100 people of different nationalities all over the world.
That's right.
And you probably can almost come up with 100 different analogies for this song. You
right.
know, and that's the beauty of the art in it.
Right.
But the great thing about it is what he's representing is what they've been fighting for to be on top, the small town country boy of the non-melanin. You know,
that's good. That's good. That's good. I like that.
You understand? So they've been fighting for a representation
of
that to make that bigger than the inner city lawyer melanin brother.
I like where you go with that, particularly now. Let's do this. Particularly when small towns that are very underdeveloped, they don't have a lot of technology and carrying on. You know, I mean, here in Georgia, you know, a lot of our small towns, you know, they got to drive an hour to the closest hospital. An hour. Some folks got to go even over 2 or 3 counties before they get to the nearest hospital.
That's true.
Okay. So when we're talking about that, you know, you make a very valid point there, because the development of them, you know, of course they're going to sit down there and say, okay, yeah, you can't do that here. We ain't got shit. You can't come down here and burn up the damn land. What you talking about? I grow my crop here. So I get like I said, the song I get.
Like, okay, I'm gonna give you an example, a real life example. Years ago, I moved from the city of Chicago. Okay, that's the bumping and the grinding, right? That's okay. All right. When I moved to a smaller town, which was Champaign, Illinois, which is southern Illinois, okay, folks was robbing banks on bicycles and getting away with it, and I was standing there scratching my head like, "What in the country bumpkin? Like, are you serious right now? Like, how you go up there on the BMX bike and get away with the bags?"
Right.
But again, that was that small town living. Their culture. That's what it was. That I wasn't supposed to understand, because I grew up where you're not going to make it to your car robbing them.
Right. Exactly. You know.
So that's why I say it's a lot of thought process in these things to differentiate the geographical doggone standpoint of everything. You know what I'm saying?
So that there is try that in a small town for me. Okay. So that there is that. Let's move on to my next topic. Because I got to get out of here in about 45 minutes. Okay.
What is it?
And that there is how many of y'all have been, you know, privy to all of what's going on? I'm sure you have. Because that's all the internet has been lit up with, is this cisgender versus transgender war.
Oh, that's what this is.
Okay. And understanding what the hell is going on there. Why is it that say that women
Oh, wait, wait,
are,
wait, wait. Hold
are
on.
not the gatekeepers of
Hey,
their
hold on.
period.
Hold on. Hold on. I'm sorry, Meach. Hold on. Girl, do you have a tampon?
I'm gonna beat your. You know, your setups are amazing. Your fucking setups are amazing. Okay, your setups are amazing. Okay, because you just rocked in your chair. I'm thinking something wrong for real. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, your setups are cute. Okay, yeah, Well, the trans girl gets up, tells biological women that they are not the gatekeepers of periods. Okay, and they don't own it, and blah blah blah. Okay, just hilarious. The comedian, she claps back. Right now, when she claps back, she claps loudly.
Like Ronnie in Players Club. Go ahead.
Okay, because she didn't go that. She went okay, right now when she clapped back, those who are progressive trans children, they attacked her, ridiculed her. A lot of them got to talk about her physical appearance. You know, a lot of them always went to making references to the fact that, okay, well, girl, hell, you keep being mistaken for trans anyway, bitch. That's why you mad. Okay.
Whoa.
Well, that's not no tea. That's no tea, no shade, because Jess had said that on the Breakfast Club. She said she told her own dirt, you know, that she gets mistaken a lot. She told that they showed the clip and she said this one story where it was a celebrity who got into her DMs or whatever and was willing to fly her out. Okay, because he wanted her to jug him. And the girl said, "Oh, he wanted you to strap up?" She said, "No, he thought I was a man. He thought I was trans." Okay. So she shares that story. Okay. And carried on. So the kids got to jumping on that. Women saying, how you dot. And it became this whole big to do. My sister, T.S. Madison, okay, T.S. Madison set up and basically said, listen, even real women, you know, facing this, and this. And because of her experience, hopefully we can see how transphobia affects all women. We need to do away with it. Just hilarious, fires back. And when I bit you the wrong one to be saying anything, let me keep that shit over there. So then TS got back and like, okay, bitch, wait a minute. Okay. This wasn't about that. I'm the one, honey. I protect black women. This black women. You asking who stands up for us, who protects us as real women, and blah 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 blah. She said, I do all that. She said, now you could have called me, or you could have come and this. She said, but don't think that I'm scared of your mouth because you put your mouth on something gonna mean something because that don't scare me. Because if you want to drag it, oh, we can drag. Okay, and this, that, and the other. But then Maddie, that's Maddie. My other sister, Flame Monroe. Flame came up, statement up, okay? And was like, how could that even come out your damn mouth? Why are you in a space that has nothing to do with you? It is ridiculous. And because you're here, why is it that you being here always put us there? Okay, to where you got women on the edge, you got women talking dot, right?
Okay.
So now Uh, Angelica Ross from Pose, okay, that's Miss Candy.
Mm-hmm.
She gets in on the conversation, and she basically, decimates Jess, okay, and was like, the blanket statement that she made by saying that, what's the difference between you and me except for the fact that I was born with the parts that you don't have, y'all trying to get, and you are somebody who have been diagnosed as mentally insane. Y'all
Oh,
want the parts that we have. Okay, we make y'all. Without us, there is no y'all. You know, and so yeah, so everybody now is taking offense to the fact that you want to say that my womanhood, I'm crazy for having my womanhood experience, and though it's not like yours, you're trying to say that I'm crazy for having it, or I need to be in a straitjacket, or whatever the case may be. So then Angelica went after Flame. Flame went back after Angelica. Tasha K gets in. Tasha K gets to throwing her motherfucking darts and carrying on. And then she calls out T.S. Madison. Now, everybody thinking that Maddie is the one that started the shit about the period thing.
nope.
And it's not her, right? So Maddie did it's 50 minutes long on YouTube where she addresses the situation and she blasts the entire fuck out of Tasha K. She lets everyone know that she does not have beef with Just Hilarious. She said, because I understand that as a woman, where she was coming from, honey, there was a point of anger and care. She said, now what I take issue with is that she used a blanket statement of all when she was talking to her. She was going after her, but then you want to lump all of us in this category and made it like all of us think this way. She said, but that's my only thing, and let's talk about it. So she goes into all that, right? Then she goes and tells the trans girl that started all this. Her name is Blessing Rose. She tells her, okay, bitch, wait a minute. You in spaces and you're talking about shit that need not be this. Okay. Hope Giselle, that's my sister. Hope came in. Now, Hope and Flame very rarely agree on anything. And as two trans women of two different age, brackets and carrying on, Flame is always criticized and things. They call a lot of the children who are very progressive, they call Flame the Candace Owens of the trans community. And they say that she placates and panders to the straight audiences and carrying on because she talks their language and, she continues with the kind of language that they use that keep the divide. And Flame was like, no, I don't. I just sit up there and deal with the basic facts. What y'all don't like to hear is it coming from me. Y'all want me to sit down here and acquiesce to all of these new terms, this, that. She said, I'm old school. I'm not going to get into all them new terms or whatever. Baby, it's going to be this or that. Okay? She said, when it comes down to biology, honey, you cannot erase your biology. I don't care what you do. How you came here is how you came here. Mm-hmm. What you do afterwards, honey, is what it is. Now, I offer this because I tell this all the time. And in fact, this is something that we as the drag queens, honey, when we're going off for competitions and stuff, this is what we say. One is never born a woman, one becomes a woman. All right. And that's usually our closing statement when we think we're lovely and carrying on and all that. But the war with trans children. Let me put some clarity on this because the girl, Miss Blessing Rose, let me start here. One of the things about that clip that done made headlines is that it was made 2 years ago. Somebody went digging in the crates and found it and just reblasted it, okay? When she made that clip, she was responding to a question that someone in her DMs on her TikTok had asked, okay? Or was trying to comfort her because she's one that the children come for because, hell, right now, she's in the beginning stages of her transition and the girls will call her a brick. They say, who in the hell is this brick? Because she's not soft. I don't know if she's on hormone replacement therapy right now or never. So right now, Y'all watched Tu Wong Fu, but she said, honey, you just a boy in the dress.
Yep.
Okay, honey, no, you don't know anything about being a girl. You just a boy in a dress.
Talking
Okay.
talking to the Hispanic dude.
Yeah. And so right now, that's what we have. So this was made 2 years ago, and it's taken out of context because what she said, as she clarified, I haven't seen the whole video that comes from, but I did find a video where she addresses Just Hilarious. And she says, y'all got all upset. I never said anything about women in that regard. She said, I was talking to the one who commented on me, and I was explaining that trans men who are born biologically female and gender non-conforming and non-binary people are who they are. Now, yes, because they identify as trans and they label themselves as trans, they are not women. They are biologically female. So because they are biologically female, a woman doesn't own periods and carrying on, but a female does. And that's what, now, y'all see how we had to go through that to break that down. It's too much. It's too complicated right now. And the general public don't want to hear that shit.
No.
Okay, the general public don't want to hear that, and it's a little too early to try to get scientific and the cosmos and this, that, and the other blase bling. It's a little too early for that, because when we're talking about periods and menstrual cycles, there is no way that a trans woman should ever have that kind of discussion anywhere come off her lips. And even though we can joke about it, y'all hear me say all the time, and I'm serious when I say it, so don't fuck with me, that the third week of the month is mine, because I go through all kinds of hormonal changes. I'm a moody bitch when it hits me. And the third week, I've been knowing that since I was 16, that the third week of the month, honey, is when I call my period, bitch, because and it happens when it happens. I don't realize it until it's on me. Okay? But like, hey, I guess that's how it does anyway.
So they got pads that come in like 4 and 5X.
You so damn dumb. They call draws, yeah. Okay. So we may joke about it. As a gay man who does not have that female experience, and yes, as a gay man who gets up in drag and carrying on, and I can exude and exemplify and adore and pay homage to women and those who are in my circle, as an actor who uses Samantha Stevens' divinity as a character that I created, like everybody else. Y'all got, Eddie Murphy done created Rasputia, and Martin Lawrence got Big Mama, hell, Dustin Hoffman had Tootsie. We got all of that, okay? So she's a character of mine that I created, and she lives in a box. I don't live my life that way.
At the end of the day, it's regardless of what you're doing, what you're going, but when it comes to the cycle of a woman, you can't really do. I mean, come on, a man with a tampon on, you might walk 10 feet and the string will be done choked your nuts out or something. So.
You know what? Let me say this. Let me say this, because I had somebody try me once. And when I tell you, honey, everything in me was just shy of knocking this fucker in his mouth when I heard about it. I was back home, of course, in Detroit. And I was working with my production company at the time. And one of the girls that was with us, Miss Sonia came up to me, and she had an album cover of what's her name? Oh shit. At Last, the original singer of At Last, Etta James.
Mm-hmm.
She had Etta James' picture, right? And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I think this look would be gorgeous on you." And I said, "You think I could pull that off?" She said, well, yes, I think you should. If you're going to do it, I mean, I said, wait a minute, do what, baby? She said, aren't you going for the sex change? For what? She said, oh, I thought you, because I said, no, I'm an entertainer. I said, I don't live my life as a woman. I'm an actor. Okay. She said, well, Delta told me that you wear maxi pads or whatever so that it helps with your tuck. I said, no, I don't. I said, but he had that story misconstrued. I said, yes, some of my girls, some of my sisters, when performing to secure their tuck, they use duct tape down there and they tape everything down. I said, every now and again, we may get some of the girls who will line their panties with panty shields so that if the tuck slip, it's not an obvious slippage. They got the panty shield there to add for extra coverage. It is not to say or to go through that, oh, I'm on my period. Okay. So when dealing with ignorance, and the liking, when the rhetoric becomes this ridiculous bullshit, this is one of the reasons why our women are they're at the height of festivity. Okay. But at the same time, this whole war between cisgender and transgender still it boggles my mind, especially when we have the amount of Black women in particular who are all about don't call me sis. I no damn cis woman. I'm just a real woman. You will address me as woman. And then what gets me is that a bitch don't know what it means. You sit up there doing all this hawking and talking and shit, and you never even, we got this damn thing called Google. All right? On everybody's computer, everybody's motherfucking phone. If you ain't got Google, you got damn Bing or whatever your search engine is. Nobody decided to look up the goddamn word to find out what it means and to understand its origin. Okay? Because what it is, and let me say this out loud. Y'all heard me say this 1 or 2 times before. Personally, I don't like the goddamn word. Okay? Because when I first heard it, I thought it was made up too. I thought that, oh my God, we got to have another damn term. I guess because we got transgender, now we need cisgender so that we could differentiate the two. Right? And so the whole thing of it is that is it. A lot of folks now, because we have transgender in the market, a lot of folks, you want to be as women and then trans women, right? That's what they want. Women, trans women. But yet, I don't hear trans folks fighting for the T to be the identifying marker on your driver's license because it's either F or M. And when you're transitioning, you're not. If you're living your life as a woman, it could be W, but you're not female. If you're trans man, it could be
Stop.
Uh-huh.
You mean there's some people who got W on their license?
No.
Oh.
I'm saying it could be W if you don't want the T. Okay. But what do we do with trans men? Because the M is already male or it could stand for man. So it just needs to be T, male, female, T for transgender. Okay. And if you look at me, If I'm looking at a girl, if you see a girl, I'm whatever, and it says T, you know I'm trans. I'm a trans woman. If you see a male, and I have not changed my name yet, and it's still you see Mark, but my name, my license plate say Elizabeth, then you know I'm a trans man. Okay.
I mean, they could not use letters. They could like put a pink eggplant right there.
You ain't gonna do emojis. You ain't gonna do fucking emojis on the damn driver's license. You hear me? Now you stop your foolishness. You stop your foolishness right now. You stop stop it immediately. Okay. You gonna make me pull out my Margaret Thatcher. Thatcher. You stop that immediately. Okay.
He got a pink emoji on his license.
So so a lot of this talking carrying on gets just muddled, and then we got the war of well, you ain't gonna never be and da 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 and blah, and and I'm gonna say this publicly, and y'all may blow this up out of proportion, and I'm willing to take that chance, but I really and truly believe that the root to a lot of this argument about trans women taking over spaces and trans women are erasing women. How in the fuck are they erasing women? Okay, they can't erase you unless you are in a place to where nobody's paying attention to you. I think that the root cause of this war, or the root to this war, is the fact that not ever since RuPaul's Drag Race, but I'm gonna say ever since transgender culture has become mainstream and they're fighting for their equity, that women don't like the fact that men who are attracted to trans women still consider themselves heterosexual, and it destroys the dating pool.
But most of the major clubs, like the more classier nightclub scene,
Right.
they only got one bathroom.
Right. Boom. So I say that because when we look at the backlash and the ridicule and the vitriol that came towards Malik Yoba when he introduced this term trans attracted into the lexicon, and how everybody jumped on him and was like, nigga, just say you gay, blah, blah, blah. He got a lot of heat. No, that's more than heat, baby. They threw him in the fire. Okay, they threw him in the fire. And then having this discussion. Now, I don't know if y'all remember when we did this show a long time ago, when I showed y'all that attraction is attraction. You can't help what you're attracted to, but what you can help is your response to it. So if the person you not had conversation with, you see this beautiful somebody or whatever, and they are talking to your loins, and you see a woman, then that's what you were attracted to. When you find out that they are T girl or whatever, then it becomes the whole what, nigga, you a man, and then the whole idea of, oh my God, how could I be attracted to a man? I ain't attracted to no damn man. And then it becomes, oh my God, they tricking them. They out there tricking them. No, they're not tricking them.
Yeah, they are.
What you say? Yeah, they are. What, $20, $50, $150, $2,500 for the night. Okay.
Watch your time, bro.
Yeah, I'm good. So a lot of that, and I'm doing a short version of this because I had all the videos to play or whatever, but I don't have time to get into all that, and I didn't edit them down so that I won't be playing the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I really believe, as a gay man, I don't have a dog in this fight, but as a transgender activist and into the culture, I don't live my life as trans, as a trans woman. However, as a drag queen, female impersonator, okay, or whatever, I loosely fit up under that umbrella of trans, and so does many other people. The idea, the prefix trans means to change. Okay, transgender is meaning changing gender, right? And often also included in that, not just the physical, but also having attributes that were assigned to the opposite gender. So police officers, police women were considered to be transgender because they went into a field that is normally male dominated. Okay, male chefs, cooking is a feminine trait, but most of our best chefs are men. So, loosely, and I'm saying very, 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 very loosely, they are up under that umbrella of transgender. Okay,
True.
because of the idea that I have taken on attributes that are deemed that are deemed acceptable of the opposite gender that I am. Okay, so oftentimes we have a lot of people who are there. So, but transsexual, okay, are those who are living. They were born one way and decided to, well, not decided. They walked into their truth and say, no, this is not who I am. I'm not what my body says, and that's the conflict. Okay. And we get all off into that. I got to do a part 2 to this because there were some other things that came out. I had a discussion because we keep saying, well, you don't know the process. I mean, you can't take my womanhood from me. You don't go through the rites of passage. You don't know what it is. And you wasn't there when I had my first period that didn't know what to do and blah, 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 blah. It's a lot that I go through to earn my womanhood. Well, guess what, sweetie? To transition, honey, there's a lot that trans people go through in order to understand their identity, because they got to fight with everything. They have to fight as a trans somebody. I mean, I know what it was for me as a gay man, having to hide because I'm supposed to be straight. I'm not supposed to like boys. My daddy's whole thing was faggots get fucked up. It was about punks. I don't have no punks in my family. That kind of thing. That was,
y'all have a lot of battles of your own and battles that you share.
Right. And so now, what has not happened is y'all, a lot of people, straight people who don't want to get it or just think that you cussing God in the face because you're trying to tell God he made a mistake. And I tell this all the time: if you gonna throw God in my face, but yet you teaching me that God knew me before I was even created in the womb, then that means God knew that this was going to be my journey. And God deemed it necessary because he allowed me to come through the birth canal and see this side of creation. So God knows what I'm about. I've got to understand what it is so that God gets the glory. Where I am, being comfortable with who I am, understanding my truth and walking in it so that God gets the glory because I'm honoring God as God made me. Okay. And a lot of folks don't want to hear that because that becomes controversial.
It is. It's considered controversial.
Yeah. So, in that regard, damn, I was on to something. Okay, that means I got to cut this down because it's 10:15, and I got to do my Batgirl change real quick. I might do a Wonder Woman spin this time, and I got to get ready to go to the donut factory. But I'm gonna do this as a part 2. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I want to get Groove's comments up in here because I am a woman. I'm not bothered at all about what everybody else want to call themselves. I'm more offended being called a white woman more than anything. Oh wow. Now, okay. I'm late because I'm working on my crazy show. Buddy and Bullet both say woof since they visit me and stepped on my feet while woofing. Hey, buddy. Hey, Bullet. Woof woof. I know the two dogs. So okay, listen. Let me get up out of here because I got to go take care of this. And You know, when you commit to something and you know you didn't want to do it, but you got to take one for the team.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those moments, okay?
But you
And
know what? I thought about something. When you was talking about tucking and tampons and pads and stuff,
uh-huh.
if you put on a pad with wings and put it adhesive side up, that's like it help you with tucking. You don't have to get no duct tape. You stick everything.
No, baby. The tape is only on the ends so that it folds around the panty, the inner of the panty, so that it don't move. That's all the tape does.
Oh well,
It's
you got to get old school where you pull it all off and just
not
turn it up.
on the panty, right there at the cooch part, so that the pad doesn't move and adjust. That's the only
Okay.
part that the tape is
Oh,
on.
get an old pad, and instead of sticking it to the drawers, you flip it over and you tuck and stick it
Oh,
to
you
the.
talking about the old? Okay, now you talking about the one that with the tape down the center.
Yeah, there you go. That's like you just flip it back.
No, those girls are bulky as hell, child. No, I might as well just leave my tuck. Shit. Okay, they bulky.
I'm just trying to help.
Let it be. We gonna get up out of here. I'm not gonna go through all the shenanigans, honey, because I got to go. So listen, if you love us, tell a friend, honey. If you hate us, tell all your enemies. Okay. Just to come on up here, like, subscribe, to share on all the platforms. I hate that I rushed this, but I wanted to get this because I've been burning to get this out. But I'm going to revisit this, I'm sure, because it's just a lot of this. But I'm telling y'all, the root of the problem is that women, particularly Black women, do not like the fact that trans women, especially those who are not clockable, okay, who are very feminine and in their presentation and carrying on, y'all are upset that men like them, and those are and they are heterosexual men that you feel are being tricked, or you feel that they were gay to begin with, and that's not what that is, sugar. No, nobody want to let that be, because all you hear is, oh, that's a trans head was born a man, so you like men. No, because there's a lot of beautiful sisters out here who live stealth that y'all don't know about. There's a lot of beautiful trans men out here that y'all don't know are trans. Why? Because they're living stealth. They're going and doing. They're not putting their business out there. It's on a need-to-know basis, and it's not making a mockery of it. They're women. They're men. And a lot of us don't, a lot of y'all don't want to accept that. And when you find that someone who was trans, I mean, look at what RuPaul Drag Race has done for drag and trans women in this industry. A lot of women, and I've been noticing this since I started doing drag, and I started drag in 1993. All I know is, as big as I am, I can soften my face to get the motherfucking look going. I get this face to not look as manly as it is, and to just do a everyday face. Oh, that don't make no sense that you look better than me. Honey, all you got to do is learn, if you're willing to learn and apply it. But here's the other thing. We your good girlfriends or whatever. We your good girlfriends and your good Judas. This is for gays and trans people. As long as we don't get a boyfriend before you, and or our boyfriends are somebody who you think ought not be gay, that should be on your arm. Anytime that happens, then all of a sudden, goddamn it, I'm every faggot in the motherfucking book. Every time that happens to a trans woman, you want to make me know that's a man. That's a man. Y'all go through all of that, and I don't know if it's hurt, if it's because you feel rejected, if you feel slighted. I don't know what that is, but I do know. Well, no, I don't know. It is my theory that is the root to a lot of this war going on, because it all boils down to who fucking who. Yet again. Come out my goddamn bedroom yet again. But you said that trans and stuff is taking over y'all spaces or whatever. They're taking over there. They're trying to get into sports. They're trying to get into this. They're trying to get into that. Well, how come, if y'all don't want them there, where is the allyship to say, let's create a lane so that we're not competing that way? We don't need to compete here, because we got to now sit up there and say we need biological born female in this particular competition, because the law says I can't discriminate. But y'all forget that y'all were the ones who welcomed it. because we would not be here if it had not been for the first bitch who said, no, bring them, because I can still do what I need to do. If there were never those women who said that, we would not be here. And then what about those biological women who've been kicked out of the sports because when they did their damn DNA test, they found that their testosterone levels were superseding all the other competitors, and they were too much, and they were biological women who were off the chain and off the scales in their testosterone levels. So you're basically telling them they're too manly to be a woman. And they're biological women. So this conversation can get very deep, but I don't have time for it. So on that note, honey, let's get up out of here. I got to go. Like I said, I'm going to twitch my nose, honey, and get into my costume. And I got to bump about here. We're going to call the Uber now. I don't have Miss Mavis yet. I'm hoping to have her Monday. I said tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. Why does today feel like a Saturday? But hopefully, if I get it tomorrow, lovely. But the way how the guy was talking, he's working on it. All the parts didn't come in Thursday. They should have been there. We'll be back finally. Okay. So there's that. Good night, everyone. Thank you all for coming up in here. We're going to, trust me, we're going to revisit this topic. Okay. We are. But I just wanted to get that initial stuff up off me because I've been trying to do this all week long and I just have not been able to sit down because it's a lot to go through. And then for those of you who don't appreciate the fact that because I'm a gay man speaking on trans issues or whatever, or women's issues, because y'all got this funny thing that, oh, here go another man trying to tell us how I'm feeling or whatever. Fuck all that bullshit. I'm sitting here trying to add a perspective. You could agree or disagree, but let's look at what the perspective is and find out if there's any merit or validity to it. And if there is, let's address it. All right. On that note, darling, I'll see you guys on the next time. Toodles!